Hey everybody, it's Karen from Waterfall Acrylics. Welcome to my Fluid Art channel. Today is another attempt at soak staining and creating a fluid acrylic piece of art on an 18 by 24. And I am still very much in learning and discovery mode. And I am laying down here just a big old swath of Payne's Gray. It's a combo of two different brands, and smearing that around. And I got to tell you, I think when I watched the first clip back, 35 minutes just on that little river of Payne's Gray. Like, I was insane. Just watching how the paint moved, how it made hard lines, how you could make drips, that you'll see there off to the right, all that sort of thing. Just very, very much in discovery mode. And every content creator will tell you always film everything. So it was like 4.5 hours of content, and I managed to get it down to under a half an hour. I really like taking my bottle of water, and that is mixed with a couple drops of Flow Aid, that really helps you make, I call it making memory on the canvas, because where you put your water down, and then when you put your paint, that's the path it'll travel and stick to. So it's really fun to do that part. And then at this point, I really don't have any idea about composition yet. Like I said, I'm checking out, I remember right here playing with just the opacities and what happens when you cover up a dark color like that. Can you cover it up? All that sort of thing. And just trying different colors. There's one shade of green that is custom. So if you guys are going to ask me the colors, I'm not going to know. I do know that this part that I'm doing right here that ends up being at the top of the canvas is a custom green where I had mixed phthalo green, verdine green, and a blick color, and came up with my own shade, and I was like totally in love with it. I'll talk about that more later. You can see it. The canvas is now flipped, so it's at the bottom. That's actually the top of the canvas. Now at this point, once I had that green down, I realized, or I got my inspiration, and I had done a painting years ago. It was a flip cup, but it had like Smoky Mountain colors, and while these colors are different, it gave me the idea to do like sort of like mountain silhouettes with a body of water. And once I had that in my head, I just realized like, oh, you got this giant swath of Payne's Gray that you need to do something about. So spend a lot of time camouflaging it while simultaneously playing around with my hard lines. This time I was very, very careful not to get out my paintbrushes and start blending, which is always my go-to. I did a much better job about leaving hard lines. And I think the only tools I used are one paddle brush, my fingers, because, you know, they're always available, and then a small catalyst. Otherwise, I discovered the use of pipettes later on, but I was much more happy with the hard lines of this. So that white initially was meant to help, you know, camouflage that blue swath, but it was too white to be any sort of body of water. So this is me just basically, you know, covering it up, making it soft. And then I decided I didn't like the green. A lot of this went on where I would put down the color, kind of test it out, and then use a paper towel and take it right back off, which helps explain why this was nearly 5 hours of, you know, video footage. I'm surprised my camera didn't die. Anyway, I'm adding some water. Just trying to make this look soft but with hard lines. And what's happening here that was really cool and interesting to me is by adding the multiple colors of the greens and blues and the way they mixed with the white, it really gave a really cool, foggy, misty, ethereal effect. It doesn't go with this canvas, so I'm coming back in here and adding my hard lines again, and you'll see that that'll get reduced later. But I'm mentioning it because it's a really cool way. If I were to do a water feature painting, I would definitely use that technique that I had just done for that white and green area. What am I doing now? I think I'm still going to be playing with the bottom and adding some more silhouettes. Yeah, I need some more like mountain silhouettes, and just using my fingers to get coverage and kind of leaving the hard lines alone and let them be organic, which I got to tell you took a lot of willpower for me because I'm like, I got to blend, but I left it alone. And then at one point I decided there's green. If you look over on the right side, I'm tilting off this blue. There's green on the right. I think I add green on the left at some point. And I remember I get to a point with this canvas where I thought I was complete. I thought it was done. And I took a photo of it and I sent it to a bunch of people. And, you know, when you ask opinions from a bunch of people, you're going to get a bunch of different opinions because nobody agrees on anything. But a few people said that we'll call it the bottom part there, where it's just a single shade of my custom green. I should have, that it needed something, that it needed another layer of color. And I remember thinking, I love that shade so much the way it is. I should leave it alone. And I listened to everybody else instead of listening to my own inner artist voice. And I'm not going to make that mistake again. I think it's, good to get opinions, not in the middle of the process though. Like you kind of have to stick to your guns, I guess. So that was like an interesting, self-expression lesson I learned there to, be true to myself because I did love it just the way it was. And you'll see in a minute that I change it and listen to everybody else except for my own voice. I don't know if you caught that. I just took my catalyst and put a swath through the one part of the silhouette of the mountain, and it made like a really cool white overlay that I was in love with. I think that gets to live. Back to dorking around with this bottom. The bottom of this canvas was hella fun. I kept playing with it over and over and over again to get it to look like the vision in my head. And it was, I don't want to say it's a struggle because I had a really great time doing what I'm doing right there. It's like, oh, I want to put color down. Let me take color off. Do I want to make that illusion of water smaller? What am I doing? So now you can see the top of the canvas there, which is at your bottom, where it was green, now has a green yellow on top of it, where I added a second layer. And it's pretty and everything. I think I just would have done something different. So let's just, a little personal lesson in listening to your own artist voice. For me, this canvas is starting to come along, but I realized right about now that, now I'm going back to the water again, that I don't have enough negative space. There's definitely not enough negative space to this canvas, and it's out of balance. It should have been dropped down probably a good 2-3 inches with the negative space. So that was another good lesson learned. And can you tell I'm obsessed with this water? I'm just totally like obsessed. with getting it right. So I really do like using my fingers. I'm trying really hard again not to blend. And it was really interesting. I think I add some color to this. Yeah, to watch it, um, watch the colors merge like that when it's all flowy. And, you can create some depth by having the darker, hard edges with a different color. That was hella fun to do. And then I think I decided to do it a little more. And at this point, see how I have green on the right side? I decided I needed some green on the left side there a little bit, that green yellow color, to kind of balance it out. I don't think that gets to live, but for right now, that's the idea I had in mind, just to put a little bit of green over on that side of the canvas. And at this point, and I know it's difficult to see because this is all upside down, um, but like my layers are really starting to come together here. So adding a blue, and if you ask me what shade of blue that is, I could not tell you because I probably mixed up. I kept mixing up brands and shades and making everything my own. Um, I think even the Payne's Gray on that initial swath was like two different brands of Payne's Gray mixed together. And when you're up close, you can really see it. You can't tell from this angle or distance. But yeah, just adding color, dorking around, and getting close, I believe, to the point where, oh no, I got to talk about this because I forgot all about it. So at one point, I discovered, well, one, my canvas is very wet here, very wet. And I have no patience and need to let layers dry. Even if I blow dry it with the hair dryer, the underside of the canvas and the paint is by no means cured or anything. It's just dry enough that it doesn't move. But my canvas here is so wet that when I put down my next color here, it made like this really cool effect where it bled into that light blue right there. You see those? I called those my little sage bushes. And when they were small, they were super cute. Um, but the problem was the canvas was so wet, they kept growing. And so I was on this kick for about 20 minutes of making these little bushes and totally went off course because that's not what this painting needed. But I'm like, look what the paint does. It makes these cute little designs. And then I'm swishing them around. But the problem was because it was so wet and I used too much paint, that they grew. They grew into these, monster weeds. And I end up at some point like taking them out. Using my pipette, my other new favorite tool, and was making some hard lines. And for now, those little bushes, there's one that got to live, like a tiny one that you haven't seen yet. But the rest of these, I'm like, what are you doing? It took 20 minutes, but I was like, what are you doing? Those look stupid. Get those out of there. Because the other thing is everything else is hard lines, and those were all blurry. And I didn't like the two different styles on one painting. Like, pick a style and stick with it. So there's my pipette again. Adding this turned out beautiful. Some subtle colors within that Payne's Gray that you don't notice from this distance, but up close looks really pretty. So I was really glad I did that part. And yeah, I'm waiting for me to, there goes the bushes. They're like, yeah, they're out of there. Bye-bye, bushes. Oh my gosh. I was cracking myself up. That was like a total squirrel moment where I was like, oh, look what it does. And then boom, I was off doing something else. And then, came to my senses later on. So these get removed. And I think I'm just going to take my pipette, move things around a bit or add some more dark lines and getting, I think I do, the next segment, I do talk. So I think I get to shut up here in a minute and let you guys watch the rest as I speak. All right, I'm back again. I had it on the floor so I could, hover over it and see if I liked it. And I think I'm very, very close to being done. I like everything except like the blurry part. Like that middle section or that part you just watched. Maybe another painting where I make everything all blurry and soft. But I didn't like the combo of the two. This part here. And I feel like the whole painting goes right to left. So what I thought I'd do is take just a little bit of this darkness and have something go left to right. Might be backwards on camera. And I'm not going to put water down. If I hate it, I'll wipe it off. And I know I had my green there. I know, guys. Like, I know. But this should blend. The Payne's Gray is super, super sheer. And I'm just kind of smearing it on just so I can see what it's going to look like. And I don't want a whole lot. I just kind of want it to come down. Oops, might help if you fill up the pipette. I'll take off some paint so we can still see that green. Keep doing that until it runs out. I think I'm done. Oh my goodness. I think this style of painting that you could just go on and on and on and never be happy. At least me. That's me. But I think I'm finally calling it. For reals this time. For reals. And get you guys down. Am I going to be able to put it up? I might have to wait a little bit for that part to dry, but let me flip it around. There's all kinds of interesting little parts to look at too. So there's the bottom. See? Like it needed that. I'm telling you. It did. Just agree with me. Like whatever you say, Karen. Can you see it like that? Yeah, the whole thing. There it is. Oh my gosh, what a labor of love. I'm really glad I added some lightness in here. It's subtle, but it's there, particularly in person. And the distressed parts in a lot of places are really, really cool. So yeah, be right back. Yay! All right, guys, here is the almost final result. I'll save the rest. I want to show you right up close there. See those dots? That's what I was talking about, where the gesso didn't take or something happened. I didn't fix it yet in this little clip, but it gets fixed later on. And as I'm looking at this as a whole, yeah, I don't think I have enough negative space. Like everything should have been dropped down, like I said, another 2 or 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is resize this canvas. That'll be the next video. And I'll show you guys how I put together the stretcher bars and how I stretch canvas and staple everything into place. And we will cut this one down to size. I think this 18 by 24 needs to be like a 16 by 16 or an 18 by 18, and it'll look better. Those dots do get better later on. You'll see in the next video because I used some alcohol ink and was able to camouflage a lot of it. Here's my hard lines that I really like, and there is, when you're standing in front of it up close, the subtle color variation was really beautiful to me, along with all the random marks everywhere. There's my one little random sage bush that got to live. And then just a lot of marks and interesting bits at the bottom. So when I go to cut this, it'll be interesting to see what gets to live and what gets cut off of this canvas, because I do think it'll look better smaller. It's not quite in the correct proportion yet. So yeah, that'll be the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's different from the usual paint pouring videos, so I appreciate you checking this out. Be well. Take care. Please like, share, and subscribe. Peace out.